For most adults today, they always have to worry about the overhead costs that are in their everyday lives. One of the most important being medical. And for people that have to take a lifetime drug, such as insulin, nothing more is important for their lives. This is Alec Smith. He's a bright 26-year-old man. He's a type 1 diabetic and has to have an insulin shot every day. As he turned 26, he aged off of his mother's insurance and had to get his own. He died a few weeks later from diabetic ketoacidosis, where the blood has too much sugar in it and becomes acidic, where in turn the cells in the body begin to dehydrate and the organs shut down one by one. It's one of the most painful ways for a diabetic to die. This happened because of Alec's dangerous practice with insulin rationing, where the person who's using insulin takes his or hers recommended amount, or the amount he needs to survive, and tries to extend it past the point of where it's useless. Unfortunately, this is not just an outstanding circumstance, but rather the norm for people that try to use insulin rationing. He didn't do this simply because he didn't feel like taking another shot, but rather he couldn't afford to have more insulin. He couldn't afford to live. It's important for people to understand exactly why medicines such as insulin are so expensive, and why having monopolies in areas such as this are awful. There are two numbers that you need to know: 3 and 90. According to T1 International, 3 companies own 90% of the insulin market worldwide. Take a moment to let that sink in. Not just the United States, but worldwide. And of those 3 companies, most countries only use one of them for insulin at any given time. There is no competition in that field, and these companies are going for maximum profit and disregarding of the fact the people that they're selling their product to need it to survive. This problem is further worsened by these 3 companies working together to take down any competition that they may have. They take any uprising company to court and use delay for time schemes, where they will pay off an uprising company or take them to court so it gives them a longer amount of time to sell their product for themselves. As described by Julia Belluz, the inventor of insulin, Frederick Banting, he, along with the other people that helped him invent insulin, did not actually want this to be for profit. Instead, they sold the patent for insulin to a college for only $1, so people could get the medicine they so desperately needed without dying. To understand how adverse having a monopoly in this field is, Ed Silverman describes how 1 vial of insulin only costs about $1.16 to produce, which comes out to be approximately $195 a month. In today's world, in contrast, the average insulin user will not spend any less than $450 a month. That's more than 2 times the production cost, and that's more than the average used car monthly payment, just so they can live, not just for extravagant needs or whatever, or wants, but because they need it to survive. This problem is further ingrained in our system, not just of simple greed in large companies and corporations, but it's also ingrained in our healthcare system. insurance companies are profiteering based on how expensive this medicine is. They're making a profit based on how much more expensive it is and offsetting the cost to the people that they're providing for. Also, doctors are pushing for the more expensive insulin. There's a human type insulin, and then there's an analog insulin. The analog has minor advantages to the human, but ultimately they do the same job. According to GoodRx, 96% of today's prescriptions are for the analog insulin. And here, according to the graph, this showcases the average annual total for Medicare spending on insulin products per user. From 2007 to 2016, it has increased 358%. That's less than 10 years. That's less than a decade. It's gone from roughly $860 to almost over $4,000 per user. It's important for people to understand just how bad insulin costs are, and how bad monopolies are. It's astonishing just how few people truly understand how those two pieces of information are critical. To solve this, as normal human beings, we have to focus on the grassroots. We have to berate our delegates. We have to get on them. We have to bring this topic to the forefront of their minds to the point of annoyance. Whenever there's like an open public debate, we want them trying to debate on that topic to try to solve it. Please do something at the grassroots level, so that way people aren't dying just because they can't afford to have the medicine they need to live.